We were right! How will the second Starship flight differ from the first one? Did SpaceX and Elon Musk just confirm our speculation about Starship? Who was selected for the Crew 7 mission? And did Vulcan get delayed again? My name is Felix, welcome to What About It, let's dive right in. Starship updates. The pace of activity at the launch site has surged, even surpassing previous progress speeds, while Ship 25 has just successfully undergone a significant inaugural test. Last week we delved into the intricacies of the water-cooled steel plate. Today we'll focus on the orbital launch mount itself. Starting from the bottom, during Elon Musk's Twitter Spaces session last week, he dropped a fascinating tidbit about the launch platform's base. A labyrinth of reinforcing steel rods destined to provide structural integrity to the launch mount and withstand a super heavy blast. Pun intended. To accomplish that, it needs to be bonded together with concrete. But did you know how much concrete will be needed? What does it take? We're not talking about a few buckets here and there. We're talking about a whopping 1,000 cubic meters or 35,000 cubic feet. That is 52,834 standard buckets. One concrete mixer truck can lug between 6 and 10 cubic meters. Let's say 8 cubic meters or 282 cubic feet of concrete. So to fill the orbital launch mount base, SpaceX is going to need an army of about 125 of these trucks. Trust me, when this process gets rolling, you won't miss it. It will be quite the spectacle. Remember when the orbital tank farm was refilled after the Starship launch attempt was scrubbed? That was a really long line of trucks. Back to the launch deck. Over the last few days, we spotted some interesting activity at the booster quick disconnect arm. The cryogenic hoses were put back in place after they'd been removed shortly after the flight. Workers didn't stop there though. A protective metal sheet, the BQD or Booster Quick Disconnect hood, also got reinstalled. This arm is key to fueling and powering Starship's lower stage, and it's designed to retract during the liftoff. Things didn't end there. New cryogenic piping was installed, leading up to the section we fondly call the doghouse for obvious reasons. While the orbital launch mount is still far from welcoming another booster, the pace is definitely quickening even further. We might not be there in a week or two, but give it a month or 6 weeks and it should be in a good enough shape to continue Starship testing. And that's precisely what Elon gave as an estimate on the recent Twitter space, and I do share his estimate. Now do me a favor and take a look at suborbital pad B. Here, Starship 25 has been playing the waiting game for a static fire for over a month now. We haven't seen any flames yet, but the test campaign has reached a significant milestone. On June 21st, once the road was empty and the pad was cleared, Ship 25 was fueled and performed a spin prime test. Remember how in our previous episode I told you to look out for a white cloud underneath the engines? There it is, a successful test. With more media activity in recent weeks, it's not surprising that just after the spin prime, SpaceX shared this remarkable drone shot with us. Way to go, SpaceX, this is very much appreciated. This means that engineers at Starbase are lining up the next challenge, a static fire of 6 Raptor engines. And you know what? At the time of recording this episode, the potential date for this grand event is, or was, June 26th from 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. with backup dates for June 27th and 28th from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. all Texas time. Get your popcorn ready. If anything happened between me recording this episode and you watching it on release day, we'll show it here, fingers crossed. As the countdown for the second orbital flight attempt continues, curiosity might be nibbling at you. You might be wondering, what are the odds of this mission succeeding? Or how does the B9 Ship 25 stack differ from its predecessor? Excellent questions! Thanks to insights from Elon Musk's recent talk and some guesstimates, why don't we try to answer them together? First, let's tackle the ship as it's closest to being ready for flight. By now you probably know that Ship 25 is, in essence, Ship 24's doppelganger. It continues to utilize the second generation Raptors with a hydraulic thrust vector control. Or in simpler terms, it employs hydraulic pistons to maneuver the Raptor's nozzle physically. While this mechanism was a point of failure for Booster 7, Starship 25 uses TVC only for the 3 sea-level engines, so it should work fine. Don't jinx it, Felix. Much like its predecessor, Ship 25's PEZ dispenser has been welded shut, meaning that deployment of Starlings or any other payload during the second orbital flight is off the table. Shifting focus to the booster, here we see a plethora of important design modifications. Naturally, as a new generation prototype, most of the changes are purely internal. According to Elon Musk himself, this new orbital stack boasts over 1,000 changes. So it looks almost the same on the outside, but it isn't at all. This overhaul includes the most anticipated feature, an electric thrust vector control system. Looking at one of the pictures captured by our one and only YCAM operator Chief, you'll notice that Booster 9 lacks 2 boxes on the outside. The transition to an electric vectoring system saves weight, as the hydraulic power units that resided in these boxes on Booster 7 are no longer needed. Such a system is also easier to maintain and can be more reliable due to the absence of leak-prone fluid lines in the actuators. It is much less complex. Crucially for Starship, each gimbal functions independently from the others, meaning that if one component has a bad day, it shouldn't cripple the entire booster anymore. Booster 9 was also designed with engine shielding from the get-go, while Super Heavy Booster 7's shields were an afterthought. Other subtle distinctions include longer chines with a Starlink dish on top, ullage vents with different nozzles to function as RCS thrusters, and a greatly simplified thrust puck. However, the most unexpected change has received a stamp of confirmation from Musk himself. You might recall our speculation around SpaceX's potential addition of hot staging capabilities to Starship as a staging and launch escape system. That thing got a lot of comments. It appears that we were on the right track. Starship will indeed employ hot staging, but not for abort purposes, at least at first. Instead, akin to the N1 and various Russian rockets, it will use hot staging simply to separate the stages. This implies that the ship will ignite its engines while still atop the booster. Quite a shock, isn't it? Well, not for you, as you're a Y-watcher. If our interpretation of Elon's statement is correct, this change is set to be already incorporated into Booster 9. Meaning that atop its forward section, the one where the grid fins are located, a ring will be installed to allow Raptor exhaust fumes to disperse once ignited. It will be either the one that's almost completely hollowed out, the one previously suspected to be a part of the Starship moonlander, or both. While hot staging and reusability don't sound like they would work together, provided the booster's top is adequately shielded, employing this system could very well prove feasible. Now, you rightfully should ask, why complicate things? Another excellent question. You're on a roll today. Despite the ship's separation from the booster occurring in the upper atmospheric layers, drag is still there, slowing it down. Every time you lift your foot off the gas, you slow down. Elon argues that igniting the upper stage without first cutting off the main engines, the booster could allow for an additional 10% payload mass increase. Never stop thrusting. To give you a scale, the extra 10% is equivalent to the total payload a reusable Falcon 9 can launch into space. Musk shared his estimates. Everything should be ready to launch in about 6 weeks. Once it actually lifts off, the chance of complete mission success is 60%, according to him. So, not bad. However, approach all of this with a grain of salt, especially the 6 weeks part. If it takes longer, it'll still be insanely fast, keep that in mind. As confirmed by SpaceX, the flight profile of the second launch will mirror that of the inaugural attempt. This implies a water landing for the booster in the Gulf of Mexico and a splashdown for the ship near the island of Kauai in the Pacific. Now that you're armed with more knowledge about the upcoming second orbital flight, let's take a virtual tour of the construction site where prototypes are popping out left and right. Before we can do that though, here's some epic news from today's sponsor. Greetings, Space Cadet! As we prepare to traverse the celestial path in today's episode, let's take a moment to acknowledge our cosmic partner, CuriosityStream. This stellar platform offers a galaxy full of original and award-winning documentary films, series, and shows. Here's my favorite selection of space knowledge. The Breakthroughs and Top Science Stories collection. Cutting-edge science documentaries I could watch for hours. CuriosityStream has a constellation of content for every explorer out there. And with new content dropping every week, there's always something to look forward to. Under $5 a month, you can unlock access to thousands of hours of high-definition documentaries and series. Choose a monthly or annual flight plan that best suits your mission budget. CuriosityStream is multi-device friendly, bringing the universe's mysteries to you anytime, anywhere. Go to curiositystream.com/Felix or scan the QR code for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and non-fiction series. And for our fans, use promo code Felix and you will save 25% off. So click the link below or go to curiositystream.com/Felix and save 25% right now. Alright, back to rocket development and to the Starbase construction site. On June 24th, in a surprising turn of events, Booster 11 was hoisted onto a transport stand and embarked on a brief journey to the increasingly crowded Water Tower parking lot, aka the Rocket Garden. Somehow, SpaceX has carved out a space for one more booster stand there. But if you have OCD, you might want to look away as its position is just slightly offset from the rest of the stands. With a growing family of parked rockets, it may become challenging to keep track of them all. However, fear not, as that's where What About It steps in to assist you. Starting from the left, we have the freshly transported Booster 11, closely neighbored by Booster 10 in a state of testing readiness. Moving further, we find the retired Booster 4, followed by Ship 26. Chief recently noticed its engine shielding lying nearby, suggesting that it's close to being complete. Moving along, we encounter the seasoned veteran serial number 15, which was the first to land successfully. Next in line is Ship 27, patiently awaiting its engine installation, and finally Ship 20, which unfortunately never had the chance to prove itself. You have to admit, that's quite an assembly of prototypes. Want me to shock you? That's only the early beginnings. Back at Mega Bay on June 20th, the Booster 12 liquid oxygen tank was completed, swiftly followed by the completion of the methane tanks constructed on June 22nd. All that's left is to unite these two halves, finishing Booster 12. Given the current pace of progress, I wouldn't be surprised if, by the time you're watching this episode, this prototype is already complete. The remaining question is which Starship will be mated with this booster? Ship 27 with its Starlink deployer, or maybe the new generation Ship 28? Perhaps even a prototype with serial number 30+? What are your thoughts? Please let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, poke that like button, share this video with your friends, and consider becoming a wise supporter. For just $1 per month, you get access to daily Starbase photo galleries from our one and only Chief. That is over 100 photos every single day, and really countless other extras on top. Regardless of how much you decide to give, everyone gets the same supporter content and access. Money doesn't decide everything after all. A link to our Patreon page can be found in the description. Thanks to the thousands of supporters we already have, you rock so much. Now, did you know that during a Falcon 9 flight, the booster isn't the only thing that's being reused? Of course you did. Even though the concept of a reusable second stage didn't come to fruition, Falcon 9's fairings tell a different story. Originally, these were retrieved using large nets suspended above two recovery vessels named Miss Tree and Miss Chief. No, not that Chief. It's a wordplay on mystery and mischief. This recovery method, however, didn't yield a high success rate. Imagine you have to catch a giant fairing falling from the sky with a giant boat. Yeah, nope. In the end, SpaceX concluded that it is more cost-effective to allow the fairings to fall into the ocean, after which they can be retrieved and refurbished. On June 23rd, another Starlink launched from Florida's Slick 40. This time, 56 V1 Starlinks were deployed into orbit. This launch marked the first time one of the payload fairing halves was reused over a record 10th time, an achievement that other companies can only dream of. Of course, Falcon 9 wasn't created solely for satellite deployment. Human transport utilizing the Crew Dragon capsule is one of its most important features. On June 20th, we finally learned about the two remaining members of the Crew 7 mission, giving us a complete team of 4. As part of Expedition 69/70, American astronaut Jasmine Mock Belly will embark on her first space journey as the Dragon's commander. Even though she lacks previous space experience, she boasts over 2,000 hours of flight time as a test pilot for the US Marine Corps. So no need to worry, she's got this. Next we have Andreas Mogensen, a Danish astronaut from the European Space Agency. He previously traveled to the ISS in 2015 for an intense, albeit short, 9-day mission. During the Crew 7 mission, he will be Dragon's pilot. The first mission specialist is Satoshi Furukawa, an astronaut from the Japanese Space Agency who spent 6 months in space during a mission in 2011. Finally, the seat of the second mission specialist will be occupied by a cosmonaut from Roscosmos, Konstantin Borazev, who will be venturing into space for the first time. The mission is scheduled for August 15th, with the crew launching aboard Dragon Endurance, marking its third flight up to space. Up next on our launch list is the penultimate liftoff of the renowned Delta IV Heavy. On June 22nd, this behemoth of a rocket, complete with its striking liquid fuel boosters, ascended from Slick 37, illuminating the skies in the middle of the night. I was the only guy out on the street in front of our house at 3 in the morning. Space nerds, right? It was worth every second. As the mission name NROL 68 implies, it was a classified mission for the National Reconnaissance Office, which means we were left guessing about its payload. Got any theories? Feel free to drop them in the comments. With the final Delta IV Heavy emerging from the Alabama factory, the Delta rocket production line was subsequently closed down, signaling the end of an important era. Can you believe that the first rockets from this family were launched back in the 1960s? All in all, over 300 different Delta variants were produced with an overall mission success rate of 95%. Not bad for something that started as a modified ballistic missile. The last Delta will also launch from Slick 37. If you're keen on seeing it in person, there's still time to prepare, as it will launch no earlier than the first quarter of 2024. Yet again, this will be a National Reconnaissance Office mission, meaning no views from the rocket's second stage. Though it's always a bit sad to see rockets retire, there is a valid rationale behind United Launch Alliance's decision to phase out both Delta and Atlas rockets. Progress in technology is inevitable. Hence, Tory Bruno's company is working hard on transitioning to the new Vulcan Centaur rocket, although the engineering behind it is seemingly stubbornly resistant to this change. You might remember that during the Centaur 5 upper stage testing a while back, a hydrogen leak led to a significant explosion which was captured on one of ULA's cameras. This incident resulted in a pause in the Vulcan test campaign in Florida. The initial investigation allowed for the rocket to go ahead and conduct a static fire, which ended up being a success. As everything was starting to look like it was back on track for the inaugural launch, the more in-depth analysis of Centaur 5 revealed some issues. The forward dome of the upper stage will unfortunately need reinforcing, meaning the rocket will have to be disassembled again. Neither Tory Bruno nor ULA has provided a new launch date, but it's still unlikely to occur until the fourth quarter of this year, if it happens at all this year. You know the saying, space is hard. Want to wrap up today's episode together with me? I'm pleased to share some encouraging news from the European Space Agency. First, at Kourou, French Guiana, engineers have replaced the 3 pyrotechnic cords responsible for the postponed launch of the last Ariane 5 rocket. Now that everything seems to be working again, the launch campaign has resumed, with the new launch date slated for July 4th. Independence Day! Make sure to follow me on Twitter for this epic Independence Day rocket at Felix Schlang to catch all the updates. It's going to be your last chance to witness this majestic rocket in action. While Ariane 5 is nearing retirement, Ariane 6 is showing promising signs of advancement. Although we don't expect it to launch this year, it's made a significant stride as part of its test campaign. The rocket was rolled out to its pad, showcasing its full beauty. But don't be fooled, despite its ready-to-launch appearance, it's worth noting that this isn't the vehicle slated for the inaugural flight. Instead, it's a ground-testing prototype. The rocket intended for the maiden flight will be transported in parts from France and Germany to French Guiana, where its assembly won't begin until November of this year. So there is still some time to go. Arianespace has also revealed some new advancements regarding its reusable rocket stage named Themis. In Vernon, France, a rigorous hot fire test campaign of this vehicle culminated with the ignition of the Methalox engine called Prometheus. As is common in rocket engineering, this test campaign is experiencing a slight delay. Originally, this phase of testing was scheduled for 2021, with the initial flight tests intended for 2023. Themis is a test bed similar to the Grasshopper or the early F9R. It was created to research the technology needed for the Ariane next rocket, a Falcon 9 style reusable launcher that isn't projected to take flight until 2030. The next stage of development is testing the engine to its limits. This phase will proceed at the German Aerospace Center located in Lampoldhausen, Germany. I really do hope that one day we will see a fully reusable European rocket. Better late than never. That's it for today. Remember to smash the like button and subscribe for more awesome content. Check out our epic shirts in your favorite Space Nerd store. Link is in the description. And if you want to get even smarter about space and rockets, watch this video next to continue your journey. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. No, Starship. Yeah, let's not do that. One more time. During system. I'm sorry.